Your life as a first-generation billionaire, the part nobody shows you. You are 7 years old the first time the lights go out. Not a storm, not an accident. The electric company cuts the power because your mother is 3 months behind on the bill. You sit in the dark kitchen while she calls her sister to borrow money, and you learn your first lesson about the world. Money is not something your family has. Money is something your family chases. Your neighborhood has a specific smell: cheap food frying in old oil, cigarette smoke through thin walls. Something chemical from the factory 2 blocks over that nobody talks about, but everyone breathes. The schools are underfunded. The streets are cracked. The corner store charges more for groceries because your neighborhood has no car and no way to get somewhere cheaper. You grow up understanding things nobody teaches you in school. That the police are not always there to help you. That working 2 jobs still does not always cover rent. That the kids on television live in a different country, even though they speak the same language. You also understand hunger. Not the kind where you skip lunch because you forgot. The kind where dinner is whatever is left in the cabinet, and sometimes that is crackers, and sometimes that is nothing. This is where you start. Remember this. Because later, people will tell you that your success proves anyone can make it. You will know exactly what that argument leaves out. School is complicated. You are smart. You know you are smart because the work comes easily when you can concentrate. You develop a social intelligence that comes from navigating a complex environment every single day. You also develop an anger you do not have a word for yet. A frustration at the gap between what you can see and what you can reach. You watch other kids get tutors and laptops and summer programs. You get none of that. This is the part nobody shows you. Not the garage startup mythology. Not the overnight success story. The years of invisible work done by someone with no safety net and no fallback and no plan B because plan B was going back to the warehouse, and you had already decided that was not acceptable. The first time it works, you almost do not believe it. Money comes in from something you built, not wages. Revenue from something that exists because you made it exist. You reinvest everything. You stay living the way you always lived. Your friends think you are crazy. You have money now. Why are you still eating cheap food and taking public transit? Because you have seen what happens when people in your neighborhood get a little money and spend it immediately. You are playing a longer game. Growth is not a straight line. There are quarters where everything works. Then something breaks. A supplier fails. A key person leaves. A competitor appears with more funding and better connections. You handle crises differently than people who grew up with money. When everything falls apart, there is a part of your brain that says you have been here before. Not here exactly, but in a place where the options were limited, and the only way through was through. That resilience is a competitive advantage nobody puts in the business books. The billion-dollar moment is quieter than the movies make it look. There is no single moment where a number appears and confetti falls. Wealth at that level is mostly illiquid, tied up in equity and assets. You are a billionaire on paper, in a way that feels abstract. What feels real is the fear, because now you have something to lose. Growing up with nothing protects you from a specific kind of terror. You cannot lose what you do not have. But now you have something, and the thought of losing it connects directly to every memory of lights going out, and empty cabinets, and the particular shame of not having what other people take for granted. Your family does not know how to be around you anymore. The aunts who fed you when your mother could not, the cousins you grew up with, the friends from the old neighborhood, the relationships built on a shared experience of not having enough. Those relationships were genuine. They sustained you. And now you have stepped so far outside the shared experience that the connection strains under the weight of the distance. Some people want things from you now. Money, opportunities. You cannot always tell the difference between someone who loves you and someone who loves what you can do for them. You stop going back to the neighborhood as much, not because you are ashamed, because every time you go back, the gap between who you are now and who you were is visible to everyone, including you. You sit in a house larger than the entire building you grew up in, and you think about the 7-year-old in the dark kitchen. You would tell him that it gets better, that the hunger ends, that the lights stay on. You would also tell him that arrival is not what he thinks it is, that the gap closes, and then a different kind of gap opens. That money solves the problems money can solve, and leaves everything else exactly where it was. You would tell him to hold on to the anger. It is useful. Do not let them talk you out of it. You would tell him that he is going to make it, and that making it is going to be the most complicated thing that ever happens to him. And you would tell him that both of those things are true at the same time. That is the part nobody shows you.